I jumped into full-time freelancing with zero experience. Here's how I did it. So back in 2020, when the world was pretty much upside down and job security was hitting rock bottom, I decided to quit my full-time job. Might sound crazy, and I guess it is crazy at that time, but I took a leap of faith to try something I've been wanting to do for a long time: freelancing. Taking back control of my time and taking control of what projects I work on. In this video, I'll share how I managed to jump straight into full-time freelancing with zero experience. So if you're thinking of doing something similar or you just wanted to see how it's done, then this video is for you. Hey guys, my name is Avie. I'm a brand and web designer, and in the past 3 years, I've been a full-time freelancer. So the first thing I did is research, and I mean a lot of it. I spent hours and hours Googling and watching YouTube videos from other freelancers. I focused mainly on understanding how to run a design business. Then I looked at other freelancers' websites. I looked at what services they're offering, their process, and the price range for these kind of services. Then lastly, I seek advice from my freelancer friends. I guess I'm lucky to have friends who have been freelancing for years, so getting their advice and insights about freelancing and running their business is probably the most helpful for me. Then my next step is to build myself a runway. So to put simply, a runway is the amount of time you can sustain your expenses without getting any income. So for me, I built myself 6 months runway. And that means that if I don't get any clients in the first 6 months, I would still be able to eat and I'll still be able to pay my bills and I won't get into debt. That 6 months runway was sort of a safety net for me. And I wanted to emphasize here that my 6 months runway is separate from my emergency funds. So I already have an emergency fund set aside for emergency purposes, and then the 6 months runway is to sustain myself until my business finally take off. So step number 3, making it official. Now, depending on where you are in the world, there might be different legal requirements for you to start your freelancing business. For me, as a freelancer living in Australia, one of the main requirements is to get an ABN. So I did that. I got an ABN and then registered a business name. At this point, I told myself, this is it. They're still going back now. This is happening. When I was starting out, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to use a personal branding or to create a separate brand for my business. Just to launch something really quickly and without really thinking about my brand strategy at that time, I registered a business name. And actually, I'm still using it until now. Another thing that is really important at this stage is getting an insurance. Now, this is not something that's required, but I personally think that it's good to have. And then I registered my domain name and get an email address with my domain. Now, by doing that, it just makes me sound a lot more professional and a legit business. And then, of course, I had to make my own website. Now, my goal here is to launch quickly and get started with marketing my services. So I built a really simple website that shows who I am, what I do, who I help, and then I've added some sample of my previous works and a few testimonials, and of course, a way to contact me or to book my service. I just wanted to mention that although I don't have any experience in freelancing or running a design business, I've been working as a web designer prior to this. So the portfolio items from my website are from my recent work at previous jobs. Then as I get clients, I am replacing those with my freelance projects. Once my website went live, that was the time when I actually have to start with the business. Now the next steps in this process are probably the hardest and the scariest for me. But before we get into the next steps, just really quickly, if you like this video and if you found this helpful, please let me know by hitting the like button. And if you have any question, please write them down in the comment section below. So step number 4, getting ready for my clients. Now at this point, I don't have any leads or inquiries yet, but I knew I had to prepare first before starting any marketing activities. That way, When leads come in, I know that I will have a smooth process and I will be able to provide a good experience for my potential clients. This is the list of documents that I started preparing to ensure a smoother process for my clients. By preparing these templates in advance, I'm able to quickly respond to client needs without the usual hassle of creating documents from scratch every time. Then I get the tools that I know I will be using for my projects. Now, when I was starting out, to be honest, I'm only using free tools. At that point, I don't really have a budget to spend on pro version, and I found that the free features are usually enough for starters. Finally, it's time to start finding clients. Now, out of all the steps that I've gone through in this process, this one is probably the most challenging and the scariest for me. Now, I don't have a background in sales, and as an introvert, selling myself is something that is really out of my comfort zone. So what I found really helpful in getting my first clients is through referrals. Because being referred by people who already know and trust me makes it easier for clients to say yes to my proposals. Which is why I really love this quote from Bo Bennett. He says, "In sales, a referral is the key to the door of resistance." And that couldn't be more true in my experience. So one thing I did to spread the word is to send a farewell email to all my colleagues in the previous company that I worked with. Now in that email, I gave them my contact information and I told them all my plans about freelancing. By doing this, I was able to get referrals and booked in my first design clients. And that is how I started full-time freelancing with zero experience. I hope you picked up a thing or two from me, and if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to learn more about freelancing or design, please hit the subscribe button and I will see you guys in the next video.